Welcome to BK Academy of Chess. In this video we will continue our analysis on how Bobby plays against the modern variation of the Sicilian Defense. After e4, c5, knight f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3. Now let's examine how Bobby plays against e6, the Scheveningen Variation. So what do you think? How would you play? Pause the video if you need more time. Bobby played bishop c4, the Sozin attack, for which it is also known as the Fischer-sozin attack. However, after losing to Vasily Smyslov, Bobby adopted the Kurz attack with g4 as his remedy for the Scheveningen. Which brings us to the critical position I would like to analyze. Here are my notes on this position. Bobby likes to 1. Support the e4 pawn by kicking black's knight with g5, with a possible follow-up attack on black's weak e6 pawn with knight bd5. 2. Develop the queenside pieces with first the bishop, followed by the queen, and then castle queenside. 3. Support the g-pawn with the h-pawn, and 4. Complete his development by developing his light square bishop last, unless black plays d5 on its next move, as we shall see. Now Bobby's no cookie-cutter player, so there will be exceptions. So let's review some of Bobby's games to see how he plays this position. First let's take a look at a game from one of his simultaneous exhibitions. It's not Bobby at his best, but it does give us some insight in how he handles this position. After e5, Bobby plays knight f5, g6, knight e3, knight c6, h3, bishop e6, knight ed5, bishop g7, bishop e3, castle, queen d2, rook c8, castle queenside. Had Bobby taken his time, I'm sure he would have played differently. However, we can still gather some information. Though he did not play g5, he did develop his queenside pieces with first the bishop, followed by the queen, and then castle queenside, and he supported his g-pawn before developing his light square bishop. Now this is Bobby with time to think versus Enver Bukic. After knight c6, Bobby played g5, knight d7, knight bd5, knight b6, bishop f4, knight e5, queen h5, knight g6, bishop e3, a6, knight d4, knight e5, rook d1, g6, queen e2, bishop d7, h4, h6, bishop g2. And as you can see, with time to think, he plays the position in a much more complicated way. So let's compare with my notes. Bobby, 1. Supported his e4 pawn by kicking black's knight with g5, and followed up by attacking black's weak e6 pawn with knight bd5. 2. Developed the queenside pieces with first the bishop, followed by the queen, but he does not castle queenside. 3. Supported the g5 pawn before developing his light square bishop. Versus Samuel Reshevsky in New York, round 10 from 1966, after d5. Remember? My notes. When is the only time he doesn't develop his bishop last? When black plays d4. Here Bobby first exchanges with e takes d5, knight takes d5, and then plays bishop b5. So what is Bobby up to? After all, he usually develops his bishop last. Because knight c6 is out of the question, right? So after bishop d7. So now black's bishop blocks his queen, leading to knight takes d5, e takes d5, leaving black with an isolated d-pawn with a wide open king. So Bobby continued with queen e2, queen e7, bishop e3, g6. Then Bobby clears the b5 square for his knight with bishop takes d7, knight takes d7, knight b5. And now Bobby is threatening to fork the king and rook, and after knight e5, castle queenside, Bobby completes his development with a clear advantage. Black has too many weaknesses to defend, with its king still stuck in the middle, whereas white is ready for action. You see, in this opening it was all about punishing black for making the premature d5 push. Now, let's end our analysis with Bobby versus Miguel Najdorf. After a6, how do you think Bobby continued? Bobby played g5, knight fd7, bishop e3, b5, a3, bishop b7, Queen d2. Bishop e7. h4. Knight c5. f3. Queen c7. Castle queenside. Knight bd7. So far, everything is as expected. In comparison to my notes, Bobby 1. Supports his e4 pawn by kicking black's knight with g5. 2. Develops the queenside pieces with first the bishop, followed by the queen, and then castles queenside. 3. Supports the g5 pawn with h4. Now how do you think Bobby completes his development? By developing his bishop to where? Bobby played the aggressive bishop takes b5. A takes b5. Knight d takes b5. Queen c6. Knight takes d6. And it completes our lesson in learning how to play the open like Bobby. Thanks for tuning into BK Academy of Chess, where together we build, and over the board we learn to play like Bobby.